Finland built one of the most stable societies on Earth. High trust, strong economy, almost no corruption. But now, that system is starting to break. Not because of a crisis, but because of a choice. It's running out of people, and the solution it needs is the one it's rejecting. Finland, 5.6 million people, ranked the happiest nation on Earth for years in a row. High social trust, a welfare state that works, one of the best education systems globally. But by 2026, this image is beginning to fracture. Because Finland is tightening immigration at the exact moment it needs it the most. To understand this, go back to 2015. That year, Finland received around 32,000 asylum applications, 10 times its previous annual average. For a country with historically low immigration, this was a structural shock. The systems weren't designed for it, the institutions weren't prepared, and neither was the public. This was not just a numbers problem. It was a question of identity, of who Finland was and who it was becoming. But the issue wasn't only logistical, it was psychological. Finland had functioned as a high-trust, relatively homogeneous society for decades. Sudden demographic change triggered a national debate about identity, security, and the limits of integration. Questions that had never needed to be asked were now being asked everywhere. This moment reshaped Finnish politics. The Finns party rose sharply. Its leader, Riikka Purra, framed immigration not as a policy choice, but as a question of state survival. By the 2023 elections, this message had reached the center of power. Finland has since implemented stricter asylum rules, tighter border controls, and reduced incentives for low-skilled migration. Supporters say this is necessary, that without control, social cohesion erodes. But at the same time, another reality is unfolding, one that is quieter, but just as serious. Because while the political debate focused on borders, the demographic clock kept ticking. Finland is aging rapidly. Birth rates have fallen to historically low levels, among the lowest in the developed world. The number of working-age people is shrinking every year. The number of retirees is growing. And this creates a fundamental economic problem that no political speech can solve. A welfare state depends on one thing: a stable ratio between workers and dependents. Workers pay taxes. Those taxes fund hospitals, pensions, schools, and public services. When that ratio collapses, the system becomes impossible to sustain. Not difficult. Impossible. The OECD has repeatedly warned Finland will need significantly more workers in the coming decades to maintain its economic model. And yet, migration, the fastest way to stabilize the workforce, is being politically restricted. The consequences are already visible. Labor shortages across healthcare, construction, and technology. Hospitals struggle to recruit. Companies can't find skilled workers. The system that Finland built is beginning to run on empty. But there's another problem, and this is the part no one talks about. International students and highly skilled migrants are not staying. A large share of foreign graduates plan to leave Finland after completing their studies. Language barriers, limited career opportunities, a sense of never fully belonging. no matter how long they stay or how hard they try. Even highly educated people, doctors, engineers, specialists, struggle to find positions that match their qualifications. The credentials are there, the ambition is there, but the system doesn't absorb them. They arrive, they study, they leave. And that is expensive. Training one specialist, a doctor, an engineer, requires years of public investment. Classrooms, professors, facilities, subsidized tuition. When they leave, that investment doesn't stay in Finland. It follows them to Germany, to Sweden, to Canada. So Finland wins, attracts the talent, and then loses anyway. Not because people never came, but because the system failed to make them stay. In rural areas, the shift is already irreversible. Schools closing, local economies hollowing out, populations aging faster than they can be replaced. Villages that were once full of life, silent now, not temporarily, permanently. Urban areas face a different problem: how to integrate a more diverse population into a system that was built, by design, on cultural uniformity. Helsinki is changing, but institutions change slowly. Culture changes even more slowly. Because the Finnish model depends on something very specific: a large, productive workforce supporting a relatively generous welfare system. Remove the workforce, the model collapses. Restrict migration, the pressure increases. Add migration without integration. Social trust erodes. Every path has a cost, and Finland is choosing without fully admitting the price of that choice. Finland is not a failure. It is an early indicator. A country trying to balance identity, economics, and political reality, under conditions that many other European nations are beginning to face as well. What happens in Finland today is a preview of what happens elsewhere tomorrow. The question is not whether Finland should accept more migrants or fewer. The real question is whether it can align its immigration policy with its economic reality before the math makes the decision for it. Because demographic trends are not political. They are mathematical. And mathematics tends to win.